Hello everybody, my name is whimreaper and welcome to my channel. Today we are building the Heirloom Conservatory, and this is a community lot. It is a library, and this is going to be a part of my world overhaul. So if you haven't seen my world overhaul trailer, I recommend that you check it out. I'll try to link it. I'm not exactly sure how to do that yet though, so if it's not there, just go on my channel and it should be really easy to find. But yeah, so this is being made for that world overhaul. It is in Windenburg, as you can tell, and I'm super excited about it. I took a lot of inspiration from Plumbella's Old English Village build, so I wanted this to be like an Old English library. It is kind of similar to hers in that build, but I use absolutely no custom content, just a few packs. I don't have all the packs installed, so they're obviously not going to all be in this build, and it's fairly limited to vampires and get together, I would say. Probably also a little bit of movie hangout stuff just because of the boho aesthetic of that pack. But yeah, I'm just getting the overall shape of the build here. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I struggle for a little bit, as you'll see with the roofing, because it's a really strange shape and I wanted this kind of tower. But I just found everything to look too clunky until I started just extending everything all the way out and kind of trying to blend it a little bit more. And I think that it starts off pretty rough, and I didn't really know what I was doing with this. I just knew that I wanted to make a library, and I had a couple hours to record this, so I thought I would do it. A lot of the builds for my world overhaul I don't record, simply because that would be like 80 million speed builds just on my channel and no one would watch all of them. There's no way anyone would want to watch every single build that I do in this world, especially like including all the little apartments and even like, well, I'm already done some of the lots even before I started this channel, so it would be impossible to go back and like completely copy them so that you'd see every speed build. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to record this one in particular because I love libraries, but I never really have made one on The Sims that I loved. I have one called the Maple River Library that was quite popular on The Sims forums back when I did it, but to be honest, I wasn't all that attached to it. Like, I thought it looked like a real library and all that, but it wasn't somewhere I would personally want to go and hang out. It just looked realistic to me. Whereas this library is more my vibe. It reminds me more of my university's library, where it's an older style and it looks like they have archives and that kind of thing. And when I make the office for the librarian who works here, you'll kind of like, I kind of imagine her little section to be where the archives are, like the really, really old books that you have to ask for permission to take out because they're so rare, that kind of thing. And yeah, I start off with this get together wooden board with the bricks, and I really don't like it. I'm glad I changed it up later because I thought that the build was looking way too dark and gothic, especially with this door on. So I wanted to add in more light colors, and I thought I could do that simply by, instead of having all brick on the bottom layer and then half brick on the top layer, move the half brick to the bottom layer and then all just the planks or the wood or whatever on the second layer. So you'll see that I do that eventually, but I'm just figuring out in general what kind of vibe I'm going for, and it takes me a while. Every build I do, I really consider every choice that I make, and for some of my speed builds, my more recent ones, you might not have seen that just because those speed builds I was doing specifically for like a let's play, so I didn't feel like I wanted to detail it that much because I'm the only one who's probably going to be using the build, and I'm needing it for a very specific purpose. So to me, it wasn't worth it to over furnish everything in my like Twisted Tales builds, for example, because it would just slow down my game for no reason, and I don't want you guys to have to watch laggy let's plays. So this is more where I can actually do building how I actually do it, and that is adding in tons of details, considering everything that I do, that kind of thing. Whereas those other ones were more just quick and they just had to suit the theme, and I'm still really proud of those builds, but I'm especially proud of this one. And yeah, I don't leave those black columns, don't worry. It looks really dark right now. Like, I thought this looked like it belonged in Forgotten Hollow, or whatever. And that's not the vibe I was going for. I was going for a very historical vibe, but definitely a cozier kind of vibe. Like, still professional, but like inviting. Whereas this right now looks kind of way too dark in my opinion, and the reason that I called it a conservatory instead of just a library is because it has this actual conservatory on the back of it, which is like a name for kind of like a sunroom area with all windows around. It has this conservatory on it, and also I put in a piano, which a conservatory can also mean like a place to learn or play music. So I thought that on the second floor that would be a good thing that your Sims could do, just quietly play some like kind of toned down piano, and then the lower floor is kind of where the studious Sims would be, where it's absolute silence, and the actual conservatory glass area is kind of a hangout area. I think that's where you would go to do like group projects if you were meeting for college or university or whatever. And I start to realize when I'm putting on these white windows that the black pillars and the black wood framing and all that was a little too much. And I kind of fast forward through changing the pillars, but you'll see it when it happens. In this top area, I wanted to be kind of, it's not accessible, and that's very intentional. I wanted it to look like an old part of the build with very, very, yeah, fancy windows that isn't really open to the public, and that would just be because of the maintenance it would take, that kind of thing. There are a lot of old buildings that have floors completely, like, you can't go on them unless it's just the maintenance people. And I add in, yeah, these details, and I really wanted to put on a little extra thing. I don't know what that's called. So I've used the little roof accent from Cats and Dogs to do that. And I'm just adding on freezes, and the more white I add, the more I realize how dark the rest of the build looks. And I'm really glad that I changed everything here, and I'm glad I noticed how strange it was. And I like it a lot with the white pillars because it still looks very historical, but then it also I don't know what I'm trying to say. It doesn't look too bright and it doesn't look too dark. That's what I'm trying to say. It's balanced that way. And I'm just adding on the freezes, obviously. And I struggled quite a bit with the windows in this build, but I think I'm happy with how it turned out. It's really difficult to match the windows on different wall heights, I find, especially when I want to use like a medium height window, because you can make a like regular height window match with medium wall height, but it's hard the other way around, and I started by choosing the medium height windows since there are less to choose from. But yeah, I really like how this ends up turning out. As you can see, I'm brightening up the rest of the build by bringing down that white into the bottom floor as well. just absolutely love to be able to go here in real life. Like, this is exactly the type of place where I would love to study. Like, the library at my university is pretty nice, but it's not this nice, that's for sure. It's not comfortable at all, and there's like nowhere to sit, and like I get it because they have so many books and that's the point, but I would love to, absolutely love to have a library like this where I live. And here I start working on the interior. As you see, I separate off the conservatory, and I am kind of leaving it mostly open actually, and that was partially because I didn't know exactly where I wanted to put things, and also because I thought I would use the actual bookcases as dividing walls, so that when your sim is looking through the books, like, there's not actual walls separating everything and making it too dark. It's just the bookcases separating everything, so it doesn't look too open for a traditional build, but at the same time I kind of got away with cheating a little bit by using the bookcases as dividing walls. And I wanted it to look very rich, like this place is a historical monument of some kind. So I wanted these nice chandeliers. Well, I guess there's only just this one chandelier and a lot of sconces. And I used this brown and gold tones to make it look rich. And I wanted really nice flooring, but I thought that the most expensive flooring was just a little too over decorative. I thought it kind of took away from the actual build. And then inside I'm putting more pillars. I changed them to this more goldy copper one that matches the chandelier, and I'm glad I did that. I didn't like the wood pillars, and obviously I figured that out pretty quickly. And yeah, I think I start with just putting in a bunch of bookcases, and there's not much to talk about obviously, but yeah, I love this build. There's just bathrooms up there, and for my world overhaul, I think it fits in really, really well. You might be able to see glimpses of the inn and the bakery from here, and that's kind of where this build is situated, in a little square with my other two builds that I've already done. One of them is called Bread and Breakfast, so that's the bakery, and that one is on the gallery, I'm pretty sure. I'm not entirely confident, to be honest. And then the other build, the inn, is called Wendleton Inn, and that inn is supposed to be kind of a semi-historic role-playing inn, like how you can go to New Zealand and stay in a hobbit home. I kind of thought of that inn across the way as being a little LARP kind of inn, where people would go to stay there and you'd have like a medieval type meal, and they'd have like bards and obviously just like a fire pit and that kind of thing. So this entire neighborhood is kind of historical. The bread and breakfast looks almost more industrial era, like around the 1800s, I would think. So all of the builds are historic, but they don't exactly fit in the same era, which I kind of like, because it seems like this area had been built up over a long time then. Like maybe the inn had been remodeled, but it was the first one that was there, and then the library came in maybe and has been renovated since. Like I could see this library being, I'm not exactly sure, maybe late 1700s kind of thing. And then finally the bread and breakfast, the bakery, being made last, and that being kind of more of a modern but historical mockery kind of thing. Well, not mockery, but like just like copying the historical style but not actually that old kind of thing. But yeah, I am putting in desks, and you see how I've lined up the bookcases, and I think this would be such a cozy place to study. I do put in like a couple communal type areas on this floor, but I don't imagine that they're for talking. I think it would just be like if you came with your friends and you were quietly studying together, you could go and sit together then. But I don't think it would be meant for like having a chat, that kind of thing, where if you wanted to ask a couple questions in between chapters. That would be fine, but the talking should be reserved for the second floor and for the conservatory area. That's kind of what I imagined. And I use this ready tone upstairs from the Vampires pack. And I don't know if I'm exactly thrilled about it, to be honest, but I think when it comes together, it works out. And yeah, I was considering putting more red on this floor and just decided against it flat out. Oh no, wait, I do put that in there, but that's really not noticeable and it's just an accent on the entrance. And then over on this side, I'm making like a study table area. So that would be more for just like a bunch of people who probably don't know each other would just sit at the same tables. It doesn't really matter if you're reading quietly or just if you needed more room to lay out some books, that kind of thing. Those are definitely at my local library. They have areas like that are like huge long tables that even though you're not supposed to talk, lots of people will just kind of sit together and be silent. And yeah, this is the librarian's office. I kind of picture her as being an older woman, like not mean or anything, but just kind of reserved and not really wanting to talk to people all that much. I think she'd be very passionate for this library, very passionate for the books. I picture that woman on the walls maybe being like her old boss who had retired and she succeeded her, that kind of thing. But yeah, I see the librarian as being a very a nice person, but kind of like hard to get to know, that kind of thing. Like that librarian that's in every children's book that the nerd kid ends up becoming friends with when everyone else doesn't really know anything about her. And I put a huge rug in here, and I think that works well because it makes it a separate area without it looking completely detached and weird compared to the rest of this place. And I put in tons of rugs, and I think it helps brighten it up a little bit because otherwise it might look too gloomy. And yeah, I'm just putting in more computer desks, or just the one I think there, and then the study tables like I was talking about. And yeah, these chairs are absolutely perfect for this library. They have that ready tone, but then they're also quite neutral brown with the creamy seat. So I think they matched everything, because basically they could go on either floor and look great, and they work with brown tones, they work with the red tones, and I was just really happy about them. Basically, I've never really used those chairs, so I was really happy to be able to use them so prominently in this build. And yeah, I think, did I add in a mirror? Oh, I guess I did. So I guess you could look and check if you look good when you're studying. I don't really know why it's there. I guess maybe it was just in the library a while ago and they put it out because it wasn't super valuable, but it looked nice, that kind of thing. Yeah, and I just like, well, every time I'm building, I kind of go around and check everything I've done. So if you ever see me like exiting and then re-entering the build, that's what I'm doing, is I'm seeing if everything looks consistent outside in. And that area was originally going to be kind of like a classroom, I thought. And then it didn't look like it made sense in like a public library to just have this classroom in there. And I wanted there to be more like plants, and because there wasn't really anywhere to talk on the first floor, I wanted somewhere you could chat. So that's how this kind of eclectic area ends up happening. So I originally was just gonna put a whole bunch of plants, and then I decided, no wait, I can put on some couches and living chairs, because although the Sims won't really be able to use them very well, it just makes it look a whole lot more detailed, and there are still enough dining chairs that are accessible that a ton of Sims could go into this room without it being an issue at all. And yeah, I'm just putting in a few things, realizing it looks too symmetrical, and then changing it around a little bit. But yeah, I'm really happy with this. I could go here all the time if I were a Sim, and just to hang out in this conservatory area. And yeah, I throw in a bunch of lamps so that it lights up nicely in the nighttime, because the way that I made the roof makes it silly to put in a ceiling lamp. So instead I put on table lamps and floor lamps. I like those floor lanterns a lot, and I put them in to tie into the kind of historical theme, but also to tie into the greenery because they have that little laurel around them. And yeah, I put in this lamp, but I get rid of that in favor of putting in more plants. And yeah, those sconces go in on that wall because obviously that wall doesn't have windows. I think that would be a little bit too much to have windows looking into the conservatory. It's supposed to be kind of more cozy, and then it also brings in the woods here. And yeah, I put in quite a few plants. I didn't want to overdo it, but I definitely wanted the plant theme to be prominent in here so that it would look more relaxed than the rest of the library. And I put in that tree from Seasons, I believe. Laundry Day, sorry. And yeah, I really love how that room turned out. And in the entrance, just a rug. And then I think we're moving straight on to the second floor, basically. Oh no, wait, here I put in a little couch. Like, this is a communal area I was talking about. That wouldn't really be for talking. It would just be for enjoying each other's company, but silently, that kind of thing. And yeah, that couch matches the dining chairs. I use those tones a lot in this build, so I hope you guys like that. This is available on the gallery, by the way. If you just search hashtag heirloom conservatory or hashtag whimreaper, you should be able to find it. It will be one of the newer ones. If you guys don't know, I don't post videos the same day that I edit or record them, so I don't know when this will exactly be out. I don't have a strict posting schedule either, simply because life is kind of hectic right now. But I will try to be as accurate as I can when talking about these things ahead of time. So now I'm deciding what I want to do for the bathroom doors, and I was really unsure because nothing really matches the red tone from the vampire pack, but I just go with these get-together doors, and they work okay. They blend in enough, at least, that it doesn't look too strange. I really do wish that there were more matching swatches for the single height doors because there are so few of them that work in a build like this, and none of them had the matching swatches. Like, the one that was the closest was the red ones, but that looked just so garish and ugly, so I had to go with the toned down brown doors. I could have also made them white in retrospect, but I think it's a better choice to hide them than to make them stand out since they're not really supposed to stand out. And yeah, like I said, I put in that piano up there. There's some sitting areas here which you are actually supposed to use to chat. This is more where you would go if you had like a group project and you wanted to talk about it, or in the conservatory area. And then the downstairs is more for private study, like I said. Sorry that this saving screen got stuck in. It should have been edited out, but my editing software has been acting really strange, and I'm not exactly sure what to do about it. But yeah, putting in these different bookcases on the diagonals, because diagonals work really strangely in The Sims 4, as many of you probably are familiar with. And then this area I was really baffled what to do with, because I didn't want to just put in more and more and more seating. So I put in this little dividing wall of books again, just to look like this floor had still quite a bit of books, but I probably should have put in a little bit more here. But that's okay. You could always get your book from downstairs and come up. Maybe the upstairs floor would have more leisure reading and the downstairs would be more of the nonfiction. That would make sense anyway, because then you could read like a comic book and talk to your friends at the same time up here, whereas downstairs you'd be reading like the anatomy of the human body and stuff like that. I'm sure you university students know what I'm talking about. And I went with way too much red at first, and I kind of introduced a green in here, and I was kind of worried this would look too Christmassy, but I don't think that it does. But at the same time, I think that if you were to use this for a Christmas or winter build, it would be amazing. And no, the video hasn't frozen. Again, my editing software is just being silly. Um, yeah, so I wish something would happen. No, I'm just kidding. But, yeah, I was worried about it being too Christmassy, but I think it would be beautiful in the wintertime. I didn't look at it in the wintertime because I don't like to cheat the season. A lot of the time it's really glitchy, it doesn't work. And I just found that this particular area for screenshots wasn't great anyway, so it wasn't any point in making this the screenshots in the winter. And I put in those reading lights there on those couches, just for a little detail. And we're getting towards the end now. I encourage you to watch to the end, obviously, but thank you for joining me so much. I really am trying to improve my editing and stuff. I know it doesn't come across in this video, but I have really, really been trying. And I'm hoping to get out more videos like this that don't have to do with a Twisted Tales Let's Play. And that's not because I'm not enjoying it. I am enjoying it immensely. It's just that I know that a lot of the new viewers aren't going to be interested in fairy tales necessarily, and I just wanted some content for them as well. So there are going to be some more build videos coming out, hopefully. I have some Create a Sim videos coming out for sure, but yeah, I am almost finished with this build. I'm just doing bathrooms, details like that. I'm going to put in a chess table because I did not realize that was required for a library, but apparently it is. So I replaced the couch that's on the second floor, kind of by that bookcase divider area, and I put a chess table there instead, which I think looks a lot better, so I'm glad that that was a requirement, and also just obviously will be more useful to your Sims. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna leave the voiceover here and let you enjoy the rest of the build, but I will have screenshots at the end. I really hope you enjoyed. Please come check out my other videos, like and subscribe if you liked. I will have plenty more content out, and I will be constantly improving. I promise you guys that. So I hope you have a lovely day, and I hope you enjoyed this build, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye!